So this guy had he was fortuitous enough to his spouse and his daughter would not be able to handle this, and you're the car guy that's been in his life.
Correct.
What an honor. This is my friend Ray Ayer, who I met, I don't know, 8 years ago when I screwed up a body panel on my Cunningham, and he came to the rescue and bent the door back into shape. I see Ray every year. Every summer we usually go and have a beer somewhere. When I used to teach public relations at a college, I always told my students that your responsibility is, when you communicate, to either educate or entertain. And when you told me about your friend's collection here, I thought this is more of an education thing. Somebody thought ahead enough to make plans for his cars after he's deceased. So I'll let you explain why we're here.
As I mentioned, Terry was in the real estate business, 69 years old. And because of his real estate business, he had these buildings, garages, barns all over the place. And every time he would buy a car, it would get stuffed in one of these facilities. And he never really had a place to put them together as one kind of unit. The last year, he decided to build a new garage, and he went at it. 2 months ago, he felt ill and went to the emergency room and was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. They told him he had 2 months. He died 5 days later. So this is a work in progress that hasn't been finished. And in his last will and testament, I was listed as the executor of his automobiles. He has a daughter and a husband. They split everything. Last month, I'd been bringing all these cars together, to get them running, new batteries, tidied up.
So this guy had he was fortuitous enough to know that his spouse and his daughter would not be able to handle this, and you're the car guy that's been in his life.
Correct.
What an honor.
Well, it kind of was, and I was surprised when the attorney called me and said that I said, do you need help with the cars? And he says, well, Terry listed you as the executor of your automobiles. I mean, they were scattered all over the place, and I really said, listen, I've got to get them in one place. I can't keep going to these old garages and so on.
So in other words, this was to be the home of these cars, but it wasn't ready for them.
Correct.
Wow.
I mean, this was a wash bay here. The metal siding was so that he could do washing. The furthest wall down was going to be all mirrors. Okay, the ceiling was going to be tongue and groove. There's a full bath here. There was going to be a full gourmet kitchen. He was quite a cook.
Jeez.
And as I said, he says, well, I'm putting a Murphy bed on the other wall, so if you get tied up some night and you need to stay over, there'll be a place for you to stay.
Goodness.
So, but this is how it's left, and will not be finished. I know, it's a shame. This 56 Messer-Schmitt convertible here was the more recent purchase. Came from a museum in the Midwest. They bring stupid money. I mean, I probably shouldn't say that. But
Were you the broker for this?
No, this was the one thing he did on his own. And I'll be honest with you, he paid $45,000 for it. And I mean, looking, bring a trailer and other places, I guess that's right. Yeah. There's also a matching coupe that was part of the deal, but never consummated that we know of. So we don't know if there was a deposit put on it, if it had been paid for. We don't know. So that's part of my job, is to, do all the history.
Are these
here.
running cars?
Yeah.
I recently drove one of these.
You did?
Yeah. And you know what? It has no torque at all, but it's kind of fun.
Really? I haven't driven it. I mean, I've started it. As a kid, my father had 3 Isettas, one operating. This is a bubble car. This is a 56 bubble car.
Yeah, I get
Isetta 300 bubble car. And this was purchased at the New England Auto Auction at Owl's Head 2 years ago from a fellow who's since passed away, I guess. It's a pretty nice car.
Take a look at this, the way the steering column articulates here. So the steering column is mounted to the front door. to kind of get out of the way of the driver and passenger. It just leans out on a universal joint.
You know, what I find the most difficult is getting out of these cars.
Getting out.
Because you normally would grab the steering wheel,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you'd grab something, and I'm always grabbing the front door and it's closing on me. So I don't really know how people did it in those days.
Well, I don't think a lot of people did. Otherwise, there'd be Isettas all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, I guess this is like a roll bar. I guess you could grab this to get out.
Yeah, but it's really not giving you enough. Anyway, I need something.
Yep. So this has got 10,228 miles on it.
And I think you know this, but in Europe back in the 50s, they didn't have a lot of parking spaces. And maybe the other fellow that you interviewed told you. But the reason these bumpers are here is so that they could yank a hold of them and pull them out into the road and then take off. Because there was no way, you know, they were just like sardines.
Did he drive these cars around?
No, he had never driven that. He had never driven this one. He did drive the Morris Minor Traveler Woody and the 600 limousine.
I'd like to thank a new sponsor to Barn Find Hunter, Battery Tender. I've been a long-time customer for Battery Tender products. They keep your batteries charged. Now they have devices that inflate tires, that can jumpstart your car and invert power. If you'd like to buy one, you get a 20% discount for watching this program. Check the description below. And so these I know pretty well.
Yeah.
I used to race one.
Yeah?
This
did
is
you?
Right-hand drive, so was this imported from England or?
Well, it actually, it did originally. It came from Seattle, Washington. It was procured from there from a mutual friend. And
So these have a tin chassis, and there's a cross member with torsion bars. And if that cross member is rotted, you got a real expensive fabrication job or junk it. So I'm going to go down and check what the house.
Yeah, check it out. I think this is a solid car.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. You know, the ones that are really suspect are the ones that people bring in from England. You know, those cars are pretty rusty over there.
Right. This is a 67.
So last year of a U.S. import.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a cross member right back here. It's a little bit crusty, but it looks sound.
Yeah.
Interesting. And these had 998 engines. A little four-cylinder, and if it's stock, it's got one little SU carburetor. There it is. One barrel.
So I guess you'd say they're a little numb to drive.
Yeah. I mean, the hot rod thing is to put a 1275 from an MG midget with dual carbs.
And right-hand drive's always a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough over here.
And so tell us about that.
Well, that's a 58 Isetta limousine, 600. Terry did use this a bit. This was driven.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this has got the front door.
Yeah, and the side. Yeah, go ahead.
So think about the Isetta had just place for two people.
Correct.
Well, this is the limousine.
Yeah, well, I just call it the limousine.
Limousine. Yep. And this had a 600.
A little bit larger engine.
Yeah.
This one here we purchased on Bring a Trailer. It came from Arizona.
And how long has he had this?
Oh, we've had this one probably 8 years.
Are there roads around here that you can drive an underpowered car and feel pretty safe?
Oh yeah. You got your foot in the gas all the time.
Now this is a real driving car. I mean, you can keep up with highway traffic. MGA, what year is that?
This is 1960. And this one, you know, unfortunately, it was a show car. It won 2 years in a row best in class at the British Invasion in Stowe, Vermont. The final year that it was shown, it won best of show in the concourse. I know. And it was, this car came from RPM in Vermont, the Ferrari people. Again, this car, the fellow who had it passed away. I procured it from RPM, sold it to a very good friend of mine who was married to the granddaughter of the founder of this particular town, Gardner. So the widow, who's an attorney here in the state of Maine, just didn't want this car. She drove Priuses and she wanted airbags, so this just didn't meet what her expectations would be for an automobile. So I sold it to Terry, and now we've lost Terry. So I don't know if it's a stigma attached to the car or not. This car was a beautiful car, and I have the complete documentation on the restoration. It was really done nicely. You know, full leather interior. It needs a little tidying up, but it'll come back.
Yep.
It'll come back.
Dual SUs, just 1600 cc.
Yeah.
Great. Yep. Nice car. Very nice.
So
And that's a runner?
Huh?
This is a running car?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I was driving. Well, I was moving it around today.
Oh, you drove it today?
I just put new batteries in it, so
Can
yeah.
you start it?
Sure, sure, absolutely.
Bada bing. Very nice. Now you know a little bit about MGs. Tell us a little story you have connected to MGs.
My mom, since passed, has had a 52 MGTD. I say she got it as a high school graduation present, but actually her very good friend got it as a graduation present in 1952. My mom and she were good friends. My dad and her husband were very good friends. Well, they found for her a black TD with a green interior. So she really wanted that color combination. So my mom got the car that she had originally gotten as a graduation present from high school in 1952.
A brand new car.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2024 and you still have that car.
We still have it.
Ah,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah. But the car has 32,000 original miles.
And get in, drive, looks
Oh yeah,
good,
absolutely.
sound good.
Absolutely.
If you like these videos, you really should check out the Hagerty Drivers Club. You get 24/7 roadside assistance with flatbed towing, subscription to an award-winning magazine, and more. Sign up today. The link is in the description below. And so here we have a 380 SL.
Yeah, this is a 1980.
What's all this like organic material in the back?
That's a good question. This, I just put the hardtop on this when I took it out of the barn from its rack.
Yes.
It had been sitting in the rack, so, you know, mice and stuff got into it, because the hardtop hadn't been on it since he purchased it long time ago.
Long time ago.
Right, this is one of the first cars I sold.
And this was a driver, he used it.
Yes, yeah, this car has 42,000 miles on it.
Whoa.
Astral silver with blue leather.
Original paint?
Original paint. Runs really smooth. But if you look at the interior, you see that it's all mildewed. I have schedules to get these things tidied up. This car probably has some value. There's a fellow in New Hampshire who kind of is the expert guy on Mercedes 107 chassis cars, the SLs, and he wants it just the way it is.
Right.
But I think I could give him a little jump start on it by getting it cleaned up a bit.
Yep.
But again, really smooth running car, but hasn't been driven in 4 years. But now you see these cars, you know, a low mileage 107, 1989. I've seen them over $100,000. I'm bringing a trailer. And I think the highest one that's been on there is $150,000. Okay, but what happened with these cars is most of them got in the wrong hands and people couldn't afford to maintain them. So there were a lot of really not well-kept cars around. And you know the problem with the SLs, we always called them the television show Dallas cars. You know, everyone saw that in the 80s and I want an SL. Women didn't realize that they didn't have electric tops. They didn't have electric seats. Well, it was a chore just to get the hardtop off. You need two gentlemen, you know, to lift it off. And the mechanism of the top assembly is manual as well.
It's a convertible.
Yeah, you know, and so it's not something that a lot of people like anymore. They want to push a button and everything goes down.
Yep. No, it's a nice car. It will be cleaned up beautifully. So is this the extent of his collection as far as you know?
Yes. Yeah, there's a few things missing.
Wow.
We're not sure. There's a Harley Davidson motorcycle. And like I say, the gas pumps, we don't know where those are.
Well, you're a good friend, man.
Well,
Really are.
yeah, and it's been fun for me. As you know, I'm retired.
Well, somebody watching this show, now if you're watching this show and it's like 2028, these cars are gone. This, right now, we're standing here September 2024. If you're watching this show soon after that date, they might still be available. Get in touch with Hagerty and we'll let you know if you can buy them or not. You know, I think you'll agree, car guys don't think they're ever gonna die. And so they just pick up projects and they get to be in their 60s and they pick up more projects in their 70s and they pick up projects in their 80s and then they leave. And there's all these projects spread all over God's creation.
Oh, yeah.
I really admire your friend for thinking ahead that you're the car guy and you could help his family dispose of these cars. I don't think a lot of people do that, or at least the ones that I'm familiar with.
Well, I know, we don't plan on that.
Right, car guys don't die. So, you know, I read the comments on Barn Find Hunter, and, you know, there's a lot of criticism about people leaving cars. They're never going to get around to them, they're hoarding them, whatever, they're deteriorating. This is the way to do it right. This is the way, plan ahead, make it easy on your family, and find somebody who's younger than you are, who knows about old cars, that can help find new owners for these things and have them go down the road happily. Happy hunting.